The worst is confirmed. Time's up. Command the nation. First, the rookie sensation is injured. Seems worse than shown. And now we have a backup QB with a chip on the shoulder against the team that buried him. Will the Raiders face his wrath? Second, a Pro Bowler is costing millions. And rivals already know how to take him apart. If there's nitrogen monoxide reaction today, the Cowboys and Eagles will crush us in third. A second rounder is 60 minutes away from burning out. Boom or bust. This Sunday will decide if he stays in Washington or ends up in the practice squads. Dare you miss this historic Sunday? Can you believe what's happening? Just week 3, and we're already sweating over our rookie quarterback. Jayden Daniels is dealing with a knee sprain. And let me tell you something not many want to hear. This is exactly what we feared when we saw that brutal play against Green Bay on Thursday night. The play was innocent at first, but when I saw Daniels staying on the ground longer than usual, my heart sank. This kid has been our beacon of hope after years of mediocrity at the quarterback position. From the moment he came from LSU, where he was absolutely dominant in his final college season, we knew we had something special in our hands. Dan Quinn has been as clear as day. Daniels needs to meet specific tests before he's cleared to play. And you know what? I think they're smart not to rush him. Why risk our franchise's future on a game against Las Vegas? This kid is our quarterback of the future, and losing him for the rest of the season because of a hasty decision could cost jobs in the Ashburn building. But here's where things get really interesting. And I say this with confidence. If Marcus Mariota has to start against the Raiders, he's coming for revenge. Why? Because the Raiders had him for 2 years and treated him like a traffic cone. Let me tell you the whole story of Mariota with Las Vegas. He arrived there in 2020 after the Titans basically tossed him aside, despite being the number 2 pick in the 2015 draft. The Raiders needed quarterback depth, and Mariota seemed like the perfect option. Young, talented, with starter experience, and willing to accept a backup role. But what happened? Derek Carr remained untouchable despite his well-known erratic performances. Season after season, Carr showed flashes of greatness followed by epic collapses in crucial moments. And Mariota? There on the bench, watching his talent go to waste in 2020, Mariota barely saw action. Completed 17 of 28 passes for 226 yards and a touchdown. That was it. In 2021, a bit more. 87 of 113 for 1,313 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Decent numbers given the limited opportunities, but the Raiders never gave him a real shot at competing for the starting spot. Now, I ask you, don't you think Mariota wants to show the Raiders they made a colossal mistake? I tell you, yes. And that extra motivation could be exactly what we need at such a crucial moment. The reality is this. We lose the spark without Daniels. That's undeniable. Daniels has that special spark, the ability to create something from nothing, to extend plays with his legs and find open receivers when the play breaks down. He's the kind of quarterback who can change the momentum of a game with a single play. But we have a Heisman Trophy winner waiting for his chance. And that's not something to take lightly. Mariota won that trophy in Oregon in 2014, leading the Ducks to a 13-2 record and the national playoff. This guy knows what it is to win in big moments. Mariota can execute Cliff Kingsbury's system beautifully. Last season, when he had limited opportunities, he showed he understands the concepts, can read defenses quickly, and distribute the ball to his playmakers. He has mobility even though he's approaching 31, and that experience allows him to know when to escape the pocket and when to stay to complete the pass. And you know what else I like about Mariota? His ability to get the ball out quickly when the pressure comes. Against the Raiders, we're going to face Max Crosby, who is possibly the most dangerous pass rusher we'll see all year. Crosby is an absolute beast. In 2024, he had 14.5 sacks, 90 tackles, and 23 QB hits. He's the kind of player who can wreck a game plan if you're not prepared. But Mariota has faced elite pass rushers his entire career. He knows how to handle pressure, how to use his legs to create extra time, and how to find the outlet when everything closes in. His quick release will be crucial against an aggressive front seven like Las Vegas. Think if Mariota starts at Northwest Stadium, he's going to be more than ready. I've followed his career since his Oregon days, and this guy always prepares as if he were the starter. During the whole week, he's there studying film, practicing with the second unit, making sure he's ready when they call on him, and that mentality shows. When he finally enters the game, there's no panic, no nervousness. There's a calming confidence that immediately transmits to the rest of the team. The receivers trust him, the offensive line knows they can rely on his protection, and the coaching staff can call the entire playbook without restrictions. Not all backup quarterbacks in the league can say that. Most are projects or veterans clearly on the decline. Mariota is different. He could be a starter on several teams right now, but chose to stay in Washington because he believes in this project and knows he can contribute significantly. Yet, here's what worries me, that we're so focused on whether Daniels can play that we don't give Mariota enough reps with the first unit during the week. If our rookie can't prove he's fully healthy for Sunday, Mariota better be super ready and have chemistry with our primary receivers. Terry McLaurin needs to know exactly how Mariota will deliver the ball on those comeback routes. Jahan Dotson has to be sensed with him on those timing routes. And our tight ends need to understand his preferences when pressure comes and he needs a quick outlet. Coordination is key. And if Dan Quinn is smart, he's going to give Mariota significant reps with the first unit starting Wednesday, regardless of Daniels' status. And here we have the elephant in the room that no one wants to address directly. Lattimore, our four-time Pro Bowl cornerback for whom we paid a high price, is entering extremely dangerous territory. And let me tell you why the entire NFL is paying attention and taking notes. First, let me refresh your memory on what it cost to bring Lattimore to Washington. The Commanders sent the Saints a 2025 third-round pick and a conditional pick that could turn into a second-rounder, depending on his performance and playing time. Plus, we took on his $97.6 million contract over 5 years, with $44.5 million guaranteed. That, my friends, is not pocket change. That's a massive investment in a player who's supposed to immediately transform our secondary and turn us into legitimate contenders. Against the Giants in Week 1, Lattimore seemed to justify every penny of that investment. He was glued to New York's receivers, broke up several passes, and displayed that controlled aggression that made him famous in New Orleans. He was the dominant Lattimore we know, physical, smart, and absolutely frustrating for opposing quarterbacks. But what happened against Green Bay? A total disaster that gave me chills. The Packers knew exactly how to attack him, and he couldn't keep up with Green Bay's explosive receivers, neither on deep routes nor on pre-snap moves that left him completely lost. Matt LaFleur and his coaching staff did their homework. They studied Lattimore's film, identified his current weaknesses, and designed a game plan specifically to expose him. They used pre-snap motion to confuse him, ran picks and rubs to create separation, and consistently attacked his straight-line speed on go routes. Christian Watson burned him on a vertical route where Lattimore simply couldn't keep pace. Romeo Dew left him behind on a comeback route where his breaks weren't explosive enough. And Jalen Reed, a receiver many barely knew before the game, managed to consistently create separation against him. Now, I ask you, when was the last time we saw Marshon Lattimore look so lost on the field? I've been covering the NFL for years, and what I saw Thursday night was troubling on a level that goes beyond a mere bad performance. Penalties were especially frustrating. 3 pass interference penalties, 2 for holding, and 1 for unsportsmanlike conduct. That's 6 penalties in a single game for a cornerback who's supposed to be a veteran and disciplined. But what really annoyed me was his reaction after the game. Instead of taking responsibility as a veteran leader, guess what he did? Complained about the refs like a rookie newbie. Listen to exactly what he said. Those weren't penalties. They missed 1 on the deep pass when he pushed off on me. Go watch the film. There's no way he's getting that much separation if I'm there. They missed calls, made calls they shouldn't have. I don't think it was fair. It is what it is. We'll live to fight another day. Seriously, Lattimore. That's your response after a performance that basically cost the team the game? I believe the excuses are running out. And fast. This is a player who just a few years ago was considered one of the best lockdown corners in the entire league. During his early years in New Orleans, Lattimore was absolutely dominant. Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2017, 4 consecutive Pro Bowls from 2017 to 2020, and was the quarterback team specifically avoided attacking. But what has happened since then? Injuries have taken a brutal toll. Ankle issues that have limited his change of direction. Rib injuries that have affected his physical aggression. And multiple minor muscle issues that have reduced his overall EXPL OSIV ENE. It's clear, Lattimore has lost a step against the fastest receivers in today's league. The NFL has gotten faster and more athletic every year, and corners who rely mainly on technique and positioning are being exposed that they can't keep up physically. And now I tell you this with absolute certainty. Other teams are going to follow exactly Matt LaFleur's plan. They're going to study that Green Bay film frame by frame, identify every weakness the Packers expose, and attack the same problematic areas. The Cowboys? I can already see CeeDee Lamb running double routes with pre-snap motion, trying to confuse Lattimore. The Eagles? A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are going to test his straight-line speed at every opportunity. The Giants again? Malik Neighbors will use his quickness to create separation on short and intermediate routes. Washington invested heavily in Lattimore, both in draft capital and guaranteed money. So far, what return have we seen on that investment? Almost nothing. One good game against a mediocre Giants offense, and a total disaster against the first real offense he faced. If his consistency doesn't improve dramatically in the coming weeks, we could be looking at a situation where the Commanders seriously consider cutting their losses through trade or even release next year. His contract has a relatively clean out after the 2025 season, and if he keeps playing at this level, it's going to be very hard to justify keeping him. Lattimore has never been one to shy away from a challenge. That's something we know from his history. His mindset and aggressive attitude can be a gift or a curse depending on how he channels it. When in control, that aggression allows him to be physical with big receivers and disrupt timing routes. When out of control, it results in costly penalties and big plays allowed. The goal remains to channel that aggression effectively, but he should expect to be tested similarly to how LaFleur strategized Thursday. Every offensive coordinator in the league now has the blueprint, and they're going to attack him until he shows he can stop them consistently. You know what else worries me? He's not the only one in our secondary struggling. Mike St. Ristel, our other cornerback, is finding life tough in his transition from safety to corner. Safeties Jeremy Chin and Percy Butler haven't started the season as we'd hoped. When your number one cornerback is struggling, and the rest of your secondary isn't playing at elite level either, that's a recipe for disaster against modern offenses that can attack from multiple formations and with multiple weapons. Do you know what? Jacoby Myers and Dante Thornton Jr. are coming this weekend with the Raiders, and I think this would be a good place for Lattimore to start proving his value again. Myers is a technical and precise route runner, exactly the type of receiver Lattimore has traditionally had success against. Thornton is more of a deep threat, but doesn't have the pure speed that got him in trouble against Green Bay. If Lattimore can dominate those two receivers and help limit Las Vegas' aerial attack, that could be the beginning of his redemption story. But if he struggles again, especially at home in front of our fans, the narrative will quickly shift from growing pains to serious concerns about his future. And here we have a story that might be the most important long-term for this franchise's future. Ben Sinnott, our second-round pick of 2024, pick 53 overall, is about to have his most crucial moment since arriving in Washington. And let me explain why this opportunity could literally make or break his entire NFL career. First, Let me remind you why the Commanders were so excited when Sinnott fell to them in the second round. This kid came out of Kansas State after an absolutely dominant senior season. 95 receptions for 1,117 yards and 10 touchdowns. Those numbers are insane for a college tight end. But what really excited the scouts wasn't just the stats. It was his unique combination of size, 6'4", 250 pounds, athleticism, 4.5 in the 40-yard dash, and versatility. At Kansas State, Sinnott lined up everywhere, inline as a blocker, slot receiver, split out wide, and even in the backfield in certain formations. He was basically an offensive Swiss Army knife at the combine. His numbers were impressive. Besides that 4.5 40, he had a 35.5-inch vertical jump and a broad jump of 10 foot 4 inches. For a tight end, these athletic testing numbers are in the 90-plus percentile. The Commanders saw a player who could be the missing piece in Cliff Kingsbury's system. But why hasn't it worked so far? Simple. John Bates and Zach Ertz have formed a highly productive and complementary tandem that's been extremely tough to crack for a rookie. Let me explain what John Bates brings to this offense because I think many fans don't realize how crucial he is. Bates doesn't catch many passes, barely 23 receptions for 265 yards last year, but let me tell you with absolute confidence, he's probably the best blocking tight end in the entire NFL. What does that mean in practical terms? It means when Bates is on the field, our running backs can trust they'll have a clear hole on the side he's blocking. It means our tackles can trust they'll have help against elite edge rushers. And it means Jayden Daniels has extra time in the pocket to find his receivers downfield. That support benefits our entire offensive line tremendously, especially considering we have some rookies and young players still developing. When Bates moves to the second level to block linebackers, it's devastating. At 6'5" and 250 pounds of pure muscle, he can move any linebacker in the league. Did you see what happened when Bates left early against Green Bay with that groin injury? Our whole game plan crumbled like a house of cards. Josh Conerly Jr., our rookie right tackle, suddenly found himself without help against Rashan Gary and other Green Bay pass rushers. The result was constant pressure, sacks, and an offense that never found its rhythm. Dan Quinn already confirmed Bates is unlikely to participate in Week 3 against Las Vegas, which in NFL speak basically means he's not playing. That leaves a massive hole in our offensive plans, especially considering we're facing one of the best pass rushers in the league in Max Crosby. I think this injury crisis could push Sinnott straight into the spotlight, and this could be exactly what he needs to finally prove his worth, or what definitively ends his realistic opportunities in Washington. Sinnott came to the Commanders with real potential and high expectations, but things just haven't clicked yet. During training camp, reports were mixed. Showed flashes of his athletic ability, but also had occasional drops and seemed lost in some more complex blocking concepts. During preseason, he had both good and bad moments. In the first preseason game against the Jets, he caught 3 passes for 45 yards, including an impressive 22-yard catch that showed exactly why the Commanders drafted him so high. But he also had a frustrating drop in the red zone that could have been a touchdown. In the second preseason game, things were quieter. Just 2 receptions for 18 yards, and his blocking seemed inconsistent against defenses playing more seriously. Coaches clearly had concerns about his readiness to contribute immediately. That's largely because Bates and Ertz have formed a partnership working perfectly in Kingsbury's system. Ertz brings the experience, reliable hands, and precise route running you need from your primary tight end. Bates contributes dominant blocking and versatility to line up anywhere. Where does Sinnott fit into that equation? With Bates now apparently unavailable for Sunday, this represents the perfect opportunity for the coaching staff to finally see what this second-year pro can do in a meaningful role against real defenses playing for keeps. But do you know what caught my attention during the game against Green Bay? The Commanders didn't immediately increase Sinnott's reps after Bates got injured. Instead, they basically played with lighter formations, used more receivers, and asked Ertz to block more than usual. Perhaps they thought Sinnott wasn't ready to deal with elite pass rushers like Rashan Gary and Preston Smith, who were in relentless form that night. Or maybe they felt the more complex blocking concepts used when Bates is on the field were too advanced for a player with limited first-unit reps. But with a full week to prepare to fill Bates' shoes, the scenario changes completely. Coaches can simplify some concepts, practice specific scenarios where Sinnott will be tested, and design plays that maximize his strengths while minimizing his current weaknesses. Now, I tell you with total seriousness, if Sinnott gets the chance in a starting or semi-starting role against the Raiders, he absolutely must take advantage of it. There are no second chances in the NFL, especially for second-round picks who are already in their second year with not much to show for it. The player remains an unknown quantity, despite the outstanding athletic attributes he showcased in college and workouts. He has the size for matchup with defensive ends on blocking assignments. He has the speed to be a mismatch against linebackers in passing situations. And he has the hands to be reliable on short and intermediate routes. But with Max Crosby coming to Northwest Stadium, the margin for error couldn't be thinner. Crosby is an absolute beast who will test every aspect of Sinnott's game. If Sinnott has to block him one-on-one in crucial situations, he needs to be perfect with his technique and footwork. If Crosby brings pressure and Sinnott has to be the hot route, he needs to catch everything coming his way. This has the scope to completely rewrite Sinnott's story, for better or worse if he gets extra reps and flourishes, showing he can contribute both as a blocker and receiver. It could lead to increased involvement the rest of the season. Fans would begin to see him as a legitimate weapon. Coaches would have more confidence in using him in crucial situations, and his development curve could accelerate dramatically. But if he can't meet even modest expectations, if he drops passes, misses blocking assignments, or looks lost in the system, he's likely going to spend his sophomore campaign mostly on the sidelines. Worse yet, it could even spell the end of his Washington career next year if things go completely off the rails. The Commanders absolutely need to understand what they have in Sinnott at some point. They invested significant draft capital in him, and tight end is a position where players often take time to develop. But it's also a position where you need to contribute immediately if you're going to stick around. If Sinnott's number gets called this Sunday, he must deliver results that justify the faith the organization showed in him during the draft. No more excuses, no more he needs more time. It's time to show he belongs. Look, these three situations will define not just this weekend, but possibly our entire season and the future of several key players on our roster. Can Marcus Mariota brilliantly avenge his former Raiders teammates and keep our offense running smoothly? Will Martian Lattimore completely redeem himself and silence all critics questioning that massive trade? Will this finally be the opportunity Ben Sinnott needs to secure his future in Washington and justify his draft status? I believe we're at an absolutely crucial moment in the recent history of this franchise. As a Commanders family, we need to be more united than ever and support these players as they navigate through these colossal challenges. If you believe in this team, if you think we can overcome these obstacles and come out stronger, let me know in the comments below. What do you think about the conservative approach to Daniels' injury? Do you think Lattimore can return to elite level, or is it time to seriously worry? Do you trust Sinnott will finally seize his opportunity and establish himself as a contributor? Join this family. Subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analysis. Like this video if you enjoyed the breakdown, and let's keep supporting our Commanders together through thick and thin. Because at the end of the day, we're more than fans. We're a community. We're a family that sticks together. And always remember, hail to the Commanders.